end of the day, when your learning capabilities will be low, I have to talk about deep learning. Bear with me. I will not talk much about deep learning, but I will only talk about some of the applications related to deep learning, so that I hope I can still retain your attention. Having said that, I have to put this slide first. Okay, these are all different deep learning, deep neural network architectures. Each one of them have their own role to play, specifically in the field of agricultural applications and water source management. Some of them are like deep neural networks are good for learning something which we might be missing, and convolutional neural networks are pretty good in terms of both spatial as well as temporal data mining as well as data information extraction. And autoencoders are good for data compression, and RNNs are good for time series analysis and prediction. So each one of them have their own role to play, but I will talk about some of the applications related to generating crop maps of a given region using convolutional neural networks and utilizing multi-temporal satellite data. That too, when we talk about India in monsoon period, we rarely get clear data from optical remote sensing. So we have to rely heavily on satellite remote sensing, microwave remote sensing. So what we did here is that we tried to estimate the cropped area in one particular district called Latur district in Maharashtra, and try to estimate what are the different types of crops that are grown in that region. The challenge is that, first of all, we are using microwave data, and microwave data for a given crop, for a given phenological stage, the signal or the backscatter could be different at different locations. So that's a major challenge. That's why we have to go for artificial intelligence techniques to interpret the imageries. And what we also did is that we try to use multi-date imageries so that we can get better information as the crop growth happens. So we try to use considerable amount of ground truth from one particular program by ARI called FASL, and through that we got a good amount of ground truth available, which is very helpful for us to train our neural network software. And then we try to utilize multi-polarization satellite data available from Sentinel-1, which includes both VH as well as VV polarization data, and this data is available almost for about 9 different dates within the crop season. Our interest here is to get the crop information or crop area information as early as possible, maybe by middle of the season, to get information about the crop area as well as crop condition. And that's what we try to achieve through this. So as I told, I'll skip this portion. This is all about convolution neural network architecture, which was used to basically classify multi-temporal, multi-sensor data into 6 different types of crops that are grown in that area. Some of the challenges that I faced only I'll mention here. One of the major challenges that we faced is that entire Latur district, soybean crop is the most frequently grown crop, or most largely grown crop. About 80% of the area is soybean, and other crops are remaining, 5 crops are just occupying 10%. So our challenge here as far as using ML technique is that for each category or each class or each crop, the ground truth available is not uniform. So we have to use some techniques to overcome that problem, and those are mentioned here. Okay, but idea is to conduct some kind of experiments in such a way that as we progress into the season, as early as possible, can we talk about the cropped area and crop condition. So that's what we try to do through this, and this gives you an idea about the kind of backscatter coefficients that we get when we use microwave data and try to get the information at different crop phenological stages, how they are changing from the beginning of the crop season to the end of the season for different types of crops, starting from cotton up to sugarcane. Now the challenge I told you is that if you look at this picture, you can make out most of this area is soybean, okay, and some portion it is soybean plus tur, otherwise other crops are very little. So even then we could classify the entire image using multi-date imageries with a more than 90% accuracy for the entire district of Latur. Okay. That was one significant effect that we could achieve through this convolution neural networks, that to 2D CNN. And I mentioned to you that our challenge here is to talk about it as much in advance as possible. So we could do it in the 6th week of the crop growing season to get the information, which is as good as what we could get after about 10th week or 14th week of the crop season. So the results are quite reasonably comparable. Now another, this is a lot more. It's not only about deep learning, now I had talked about hyperspectral also, okay, and that is much beyond my expectation for you to understand what I am trying to tell. So what I will try to tell here is that I will try to explain again about one particular utilization of this technique rather than the technique itself. Okay, so the concept here is that at least this fruit you can understand. This is a pear fruit that we normally have it in our fruit salad or breakfast. So our interest here is to talk about pear yield estimation using multi-temporal and hyperspectral remote sensing data, that too by using drones. The advantage of using drone here is that we can cover each pear orchard separately. It's not like we are looking at 1 acre land or something like that. For each plant we get the information. This information we try to obtain at a spatial resolution of about 5 centimeters. So almost like every leaf can be covered. Okay, 5 centimeters is the spatial resolution of this drone, which provides information about in 350 spectral bands, and that information along with that high resolution data and over multiple dates within the crop season were utilized to obtain the crop condition. The crop condition, our major indicator here is that canopy averaged chlorophyll content. The more the chlorophyll content, the more is the yield that can be expected from that particular pear tree. So our idea here is to utilize this multi-date hyperspectral high resolution data to get the information of every pear orchard at the plant level. It's like for precision agriculture. Okay, it's like I can even, going by the technology wise, I can even tell which branch of the tree can yield more pear when compared to the other branch of the same tree. So to that extent we can try to do it with this, and for that our major ground truth here, that canopy average chlorophyll content was obtained by collecting some number of leaves from the field, and they were analyzed using chemical analysis to estimate what is the amount of chlorophyll content, and that was used as a ground truth to classify the canopy content in any given orchard. So that was done again using this kind of a deep neural network. Okay, this is called convolution auto-encoder approach, and the idea is that with this kind of a ground truth available for a few trees with the number of leaves that are available, okay, we could map the entire chlorophyll content for every orchard. This is what you are seeing, one shape here is for one tree. Like that for every orchard we could get the information. There are about 33 trees that are there. For each, I don't know whether I call it tree or an orchard, for every orchard this kind of information is made available through this information. This is the reference value and this is the predicted chlorophyll averaged content, and that's also obtained for that location. And Dr. Amit mentioned to me, I'm trying to skip most of it because it will be too much for me to expect you to understand all this, just to appreciate what is happening there. But Dr. Amit mentioned to me that I should also talk a little bit about what we can do for small farmers. Sometime back we did this, developed this tool, which is actually, you can see that entire language that is written here is in Kannada, that local language in Karnataka. Okay, and the idea is that we try to develop a simple app, mobile based or app, and this was done in one computer in those days. It is called Simputer, which is about 10,000 rupees, and that on Simputer we developed this, and we gave these applications to what we call as farmer user associations in one irrigation canal distributory, called distributor number 36 in Badra command area. And idea is that that farmer, if he enters his information, his name and his location means his village name or something like that, then it will extract all the information about what are the area that he is cultivating and what is the amount of irrigation that he has applied so far in terms of water diversion from distribution channels, distributaries or field channels, and then based on that and the weather information, it tries to tell the farmer that how much water he should apply in the next 1 week or next 10 days. Okay, and that too not in terms of like saying that you try to supply 2 meter cube of water. He may not even know what he means by 2 meter cube of water. So what we try to tell him is that open your field channel for this many number of hours. You get the water that you require or you require to grow your crop at its optimum. So that's the kind of information that will be derived through this, and this is done through SQL and other language interfaces. But the output is for the farmer to understand in his own language and to get the information in his own language that he can appreciate. This was done long time back as a DST project, but I thought I'll talk briefly about it also. I'm done with my presentation, and if you have any questions, you are most welcome. Thank you.
Long live India and France friendship.